we're on the record in cause number 322174, the state of Texas versus Ivory Aaron Pickett. Mr. Pickett, would you please come forward? Mr. Pickett, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Pickett, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down, Mr. Pickett. How are you doing, Mr. Pickett?
Doing good.
That's good, Mr. Pickett. The information states that on or about March 6th of 2019, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, you was charged with a Class B misdemeanor offense of disorderly conduct, display of discharged weapon. Mr. Pickett, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to discharge, Mr. Pickett, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, no contest?
Guilty.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Sir?
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are actually guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pickett, I have before me what is marked as State's Exhibit Number 1. It's the misdemeanor plea admonishment. Mr. Pickett, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this, on page 2 of this same document, Mr. Pickett, are these your initials down here?
Yes, sir.
And on page 3 of this document, Mr. Pickett, is this your signature? You just put Ivory.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have to put your last name as well on there. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Pickett, on page 3 of this document, above the line that says defendant, is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is the title, the trial court's certification, defendant's right of appeal, you have your first name again. I'm gonna ask that you put your last name on this document as well.
You need me to date this?
No, that's the, that has the thing on probate. That he signed that. Mr. Pickett, on this next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification, the defendant's right of appeal, at the bottom, is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
And there's one box that's checked at the top of this document. That box states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that? I have another document before me. This document is titled the Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature on the second line right here?
Yes, sir.
Says defendant. Now, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Samuel, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Samuel, you have advised and counseled Mr. Pickett. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, sir, Your Honor.
Mr. Pickett, your attorney, Mr. Samuel, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Pickett, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. It's for 120 days to be probated over 2 years probation, a $500 fine, and 70 hours community service. And it's to run concurrent with the felony cause number 33 70965.
That is our understanding, Your Honor.
Okay. And that's 20-33965, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pickett, the state is offering that you serve 120 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in jail on this case because you'll be placed on probation for 2 years or 24 months. During this probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs. The court cost in this case is $352. And you'll also be required to pay $60 in probation fee per month, a $15 urinalysis fee, and you will be required to reimburse the court attorney's fees of $250. Now that comes to a total of $125 per month. Would you be able to pay that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you will also be required to perform 70 hours of community service. And this case will run concurrent with cause number 20-33965. And you will also have to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of probation. Now, Mr. Pickett, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
I think the state's offer in your case is fair and just.
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you've entered into with the state. Please stand on the X where your attorney is standing, and you're gonna follow the directions of our court clerk. And Mr. Pickett, have a good day.
Yes, sir.